Hello. My teeth clean. I just finished eating lunch. Hello, everyone out there. So good to be here with you today. I am coming on live to answer a question that I received by email. This is from Noelle. How can I manage my full-time work, including the career advancements and grad school part-time and family? So that's the question I'm going to be answering for you guys today. And the answer is you don't. So I'll explain here in a little bit about what that means. But first of all, I want to thank you, Noelle, for sending the question. If you guys have questions, you can always type them into the comments throughout this broadcast, but you can also shoot me an email at coach@stacymayer.com. I answer all of the questions, and if it seems relevant, I will answer the questions right here so that everybody can hear and benefit from those answers as well. So who am I? I am Stacy Mayer. I am a promotion strategist and the owner of Stacy Mayer Coaching. And I coach underrepresented corporate managers. So those managers, women, men of color, people who don't look, think, act like the rest of the executive team, I coach them to get promoted into senior level executive positions. Super excited to have you with me today as I explore the answer to this question. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. So she asks several different questions in one question. And I gave you my overall answer, which is that you don't. So the first thing I want to address is grad school, right? So whether you're going part-time or full-time, the implications of any type of big training program, like where the idea is you get a degree and then you reach a certain level of advancement in your career simply because of that degree. So like a lot of people get their PMP certification, just any sort of like certification or degree that you're getting, the idea is that that degree in and of itself will result in something, right? So the reason why I say that you don't do the degree and also advance your career is because it's almost nearly impossible, because the whole reason that you're doing the degree is so that it will have an end result. Now, what could happen is while you're doing the degree, you could get promoted, right? Like that could happen, right, as well. And then you might have some tools because you're in grad school or whatever it is that'll actually help you in that next level of a career. But I don't really recommend that people do both at the same time. Now, that is very different than coaching. So coaching is more about how do we actually apply the techniques that we're learning from books, from grad school, from leadership talks, from other courses that we've taken, and how do we actually put them into action so that we can advance our career. So that's the first thing that I want to say. The second thing that she implies is that family and career are separate. And I completely disagree. And I know that some people, especially women, are being very taxed right now, working from home, and they're having to put their career advancement on hold. And I'm going to show you in today's conversation why career advancement is actually part of your job description. It is actually part of your job. It's not something you do in addition to your job. If you're coming on live, please say hi. If you're listening to the replay, I'd also love to hear from you guys. So make sure you drop a comment in and let me know how things are going and what your particular situation is, what you're trying to manage and balance at the same time. So the reason why I say that this is part of your job is because look at your executive team. Look at the people around you, right? How did they get where they are today? You don't get promoted to be CFO by accident, right? You get promoted into the C-suite by taking purposeful action to get promoted into the C-suite. You might get promoted into a mid-level management position by accident. So some people, what got you here, right, which is accidental leadership, I call it, which is basically like you're the subject matter expert and people reward you for that, and you do a really good job and you get rewarded to a certain extent, and you keep getting promotions or salary increases based on your job performance, okay? And you don't have to really think about your career advancement as long as you're producing results. But once you get closer and closer and closer to the executive level, you realize you have to actually also focus on your career advancement. And what that looks like in terms of doing both at the same time, which means that these two things are never separate, is that you're constantly having professional development conversations with your boss. You are constantly having mentor like conversations with every single member of the leadership team. This is actually, if you're at the director level or above, if you're a vice president, this is actually part of your job. The only reason that you're not able to do that effectively right now is because you're in the weeds. So if you don't have the time to have these higher level conversations with the people around you, it's because you're doing the wrong things as part of your job. So the first thing I want you to examine is, what are those things that I'm doing part of my everyday work that's actually not part of my job description? So I get vice president, SVP clients all the time that are finding themselves being way too tactical, right? They're still having tactical strategic check-ins with their boss. And by that, I mean like the actual things that they're working on in their day-to-day, the actual deliverables versus the higher level vision, right? The higher level strategy and how it ties into the organization. So if you're not having those conversations on a regular basis with your boss and you're at the director level or above, you're not doing your job. So that's the first thing to kind of examine. The second thing to examine is that when you get to those high levels, you need to know what's going on at the rest of the organization. And so by professional development conversations, I'm not talking about, I don't coach my clients to be like me, 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 me. This is what I want. This is what I want. I want to have a seat at the table. I want my voice to be heard, you know, all of those things. I actually show people how to show up to their boss in a very strategic way. So a great example of this would be, I had a client who was a senior director of finance at her organization, and she was having these tactical check-ins with her boss. She was always in the weeds. She was very stressed out. She knew that she wanted to be CFO someday, but it was like super far down in the future. So she wasn't combining career advancement with her current situation. She was also had some difficult relationships at work. She didn't have open communication with some of her peers, right? So she was trying to kind of deal with all of this stuff. And that's why she reached out and hired a coach. So we figured out how to get her out of the weeds. We figured out how to let her have more visionary conversations with her peers so that she wasn't constantly, so like you can imagine in finance, one of her jobs was that she had to go to all of her peers, people who are also at that director level, and ask them for stuff. So she always had to ask for numbers. She always had to hound them, right? So even other vice presidents, she had to hound, like, give me, give me, give me, give me. And so I showed her how to get this information from them in a way that actually benefited them, right? So she learned how to shape and communicate her needs in a much less tactical way. So now she starts doing her job, right? So that's the first thing, is that career advancement is really understanding, what am I doing that's not actually part of my job description. So she figured out what she needed to let go of, how she was going to actually start operating at that vice president level, start acting like a vice president, even though she was still at the director level, right? So now she's having those higher level conversations. Now she's actually communicating, and she's not afraid to speak directly to the CEO. And the good news, the silver lining of this whole situation, is this particular client was actually let go of her organization at one point. This was long before COVID, and she was let go, and within 3 weeks she landed a vice president position at a different organization. So she wasn't walking into her boss's office saying every single day, I want to be vice president, I want to be vice president. She was thinking about it. She was thinking, what would I need to do if I wanted to be vice president, right? And then the communication part was that she was actually going into her boss's office and speaking visionary, right? She wasn't afraid to have those higher level conversations with her peers, right? Actually walk them through the process and not just continue asking them for work and getting the same result, right? Like the same thing over and over and over again, which wasn't fulfilling, which was giving her a headache, right? And now she actually is a CFO. So just, she told me when we first started coaching, and this was in 2019, she said, I want to be a CFO someday, might happen 5-10 years down the road. I don't know. She's actually a CFO today. So within about, I think, so we coached together for 6 months, then she was promoted. And then, yeah, within a year and a half, she became CFO. That is how it works, people. That is how you make career advancement part of your job description. And that is how you start to balance and find the ability to make sure that you're always advancing your career while still being an amazing, amazing performer at your job and an amazing either mama or papa for your family, right? So that is how it works. If you have more questions about this or you want to talk about how this actually applies to you personally, I'd like to recommend that you sign up for a free career strategy session. These calls are by application only. I'm going to put the link here in the comments. You can go to this application page and see if you're eligible. I encourage everyone to apply and see, and we'll get on the phone. We'll talk for 50 minutes about your particular career strategy, where I am noticing some of the blind spots, and then I can show you why my particular promotion strategy and expertise can actually help you get to that next level of your career. So I hope to see you on a career strategy session. Otherwise, write a comment. Let me know what your takeaway was from today. Let me know what you're thinking about differently. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.